Also got to take a photo of the class list for my boss to keep him happy. Cool. I'll also just get everyone to please mute their microphones unless you're asking a question. And of course, by all means, pop on your microphone and talk, all right? I'll just pop on the Instagram live stream on now too. Nice. Let's get underway, shall we? I'll share my screen. Hopefully all of you can see this. Nice. So tonight we are going through stop eating so little. All right. We're going to cover a little bit more about eating too little. All right. We're going to start off with talking a little bit about why we feel hungry and why we feel full on a day-to-day basis and how that works on basic terms. Then we're going to cover the difference between emotional eating and actual hunger. We'll move on to talk a little bit about MyFitnessPal and certain diets out there which may prescribe certain amounts of calories or energy for you without finding much information about you. Then we'll talk mostly, this is the main thing I want to focus on as per the title, problems with eating too little and what that can do to us physically, but also mentally and socially. And then we'll finally finish off with some strategies to deal with emotional eating. All right. By emotional eating, I mean eating for stress, eating for boredom, eating when we're upset, eating when we're angry, rather than eating when we're actually physically hungry for food. All right. Cool. I'll stop that share now. And I'll just remind you, you're welcome to yell out if you have a question at any time, or if you don't want to talk, pop it in the chat. All right. And I will answer you in there. Okay. Good evening to everyone on Instagram. Thanks for joining. We're talking this evening about why we shouldn't eat too little. I apologize. I'm not looking at you down here. I'm looking up at the Zoom screen. All right. But thank you to each and every one of you for joining. All right. Let's start off with why us as humans feel hungry and what makes us feel satiated. All right. When we feel hungry, there's many things going on, but mainly there's a thing called ghrelin that our stomach is pushing out, okay? That tells our brain that we're hungry and that we need to go and seek food, all right? So when you wake up in the morning, walk around for a little bit, and then your stomach starts rumbling, you want food, ghrelin is telling your brain, hey, feed me, or feed my stomach right now, okay? After a meal, when you've finished eating and you start to feel full, there's different things which are sent out, okay, by the stomach, by things in our guts. Other organs send out things to our brain, say, hey, stop eating, we're full, okay? Your stomach also stretches. I'm sure many of you know this, right? There's other things called stretch receptors around our stomach, which when they expand, go up, stop eating, I'm full now, okay? So that's a little bit of background in regards to why we feel hungry or why we may feel full, all right? Now I'm going to relate this to people who are either trying to gain weight or trying to lose weight, okay? I'll use the example of someone who's trying to lose weight, okay? And they're eating a little bit less than what they're used to, probably moving more than what they're used to, okay? Your body is comfortable or used to the weight it's sitting at right now, okay? Assuming that you're not trying to do anything to it. Once you start trying to gain weight by eating more, or once you start trying to lose weight by eating less and moving more, our hunger signals are either going to tell us to stop eating if we're trying to gain weight, or please feed me if we're trying to lose weight, okay? So what I'm trying to say here in the context of someone that's trying to lose weight, if you feel a little hungrier than what you normally feel on a day-to-day basis, that's normal, okay? Your body isn't used to eating slightly under what you normally eat. That's a normal response, okay? But that's a difference between feeling a little bit hungrier than what you normally do and feeling extremely hungry and low on energy, irritable, angry, hangry, if you like, all right? And that's what I'm going to cover in a little while about when we might be eating too little and what that can do to us, all right? So long story short, our stomach and other organs tell our brain when to eat and also tell our brain when to stop eating. And when we're trying to lose or gain weight out of the ordinary, let's say, things in our body will either be like, hey, stop eating on a more regular basis, or hey, please feed me on a more regular basis. All right. Let's move on now to distinguishing between emotional eating and hunger. Okay. Like I was just saying, hunger, I'm sure all of us recognize it. Our stomach starts rumbling. It feels empty. We really want food to fill us up. All right. That's physical hunger, when your body, let's say, needs or is asking for food. All right. Emotional eating is different. All right. There's different pathways in our brain, which I'll say operate emotional eating. Okay. We may be stressed at work. We may be bored at home during ISO, like most of us right now. We may be angry at someone in our lives. We may be upset about something that's happened. All right. Now, not everyone does it. Everyone's different, but some people reach for food when they're feeling all of these emotions. Okay. It's not uncommon. Don't feel bad if you do it. You haven't lost. You haven't done anything terribly bad. But we want to try and find strategies to work around emotional eating, okay? Because too much emotional eating when we're not hungry can cause us to gain weight that we don't want, okay? But in saying that, I'll remind you, don't feel bad if you do emotionally eat. It's normal. All of us do it sometimes, including myself, okay? So long story short there, I'm just distinguishing between hunger, when we're actually wanting food, our stomach's rumbling, and emotional eating, when we're eating for psychological reasons more so than physical reasons. Okay. I'll move on to now to starting to get into the crux of eating too little. MyFitnessPal, any other, I'll call them diet apps if you like, or any other diet programs you may have followed in the past. All right. I'll use MyFitnessPal as the example first, where you pop your weight in, you pop your height in, your age, your estimated activity level, okay? And then, so it's good that you're entering some information about yourself, and then it spits out a number. Let's say 1,400 calories. Let's just use that as an arbitrary number, okay? That number is based on estimations and calculations based on a whole lot of data, okay? That 1,400 calories may be appropriate for you. It may be way too little for your body, for your activity levels, for your metabolism, for you as an individual human being, okay? It's important for us to know this because some people don't. However, some people get really, really, really attached to that number that, let's say, MyFitnessPal or a diet program they've chosen to follow has told them to eat, okay? Again, I'll remind you, it may be appropriate for your body and your needs, but there's a decent chance that it's too little and that you may actually need to eat a little bit more, okay? I'll remind everybody that your basal metabolic rate, your BMR, is the amount of energy that we expend if we were to lie down in bed all day and not move, okay? That can account for 50 to 70% of your total energy expenditure. So in long story short, most of the energy you burn is for your body to sustain itself, okay? Now, some of these programs or apps set energy so low that sometimes it is just meeting that BMR, if not below that. And that is ridiculously low. I'm not trying to scare you. It doesn't happen all the time. I'm just saying it's possible this can happen, okay? So if you're going to take anything out of that, it's that these numbers that you get are just estimates, okay? Just estimates. You may need more. You may need slightly less than what it gives you, okay? Now you're probably thinking, well, how the hell do I know how much to eat? There's heaps of different avenues I can go down with that. But if we're going to use one example, I'll call it the most accurate way for you to measure that is to try and eat as consistently as possible on a day-to-day basis and to track that to some degree and to also track your body weight on a regular basis, whether that be every morning, every second morning, whatever you and your trainer decide. And then based on your goal, whether that's to lose, gain, or maintain weight, you adjust how much you're eating based on what your weight is doing on a week-to-week basis. Okay? So let's say Tom wants to lose weight. Okay? He wants to be eating slightly less than his requirements, his total energy requirements, over a sustained period of time. All right? MyFitnessPal tells him to eat 1,800 calories a day, let's just say. And after 3 weeks, his weight hasn't budged. Maybe it's a little bit too much, and we've got to peg the intake back a little bit. Okay? Let's say that he's eating that much and he loses 3 kilos every week for the next 3 weeks. That's a red flag. Oh my gosh, this is very, very, very rapid weight loss. It's evident that he's not eating enough, and he's should probably bump his intake up a little bit. Okay? So, long story short, if you're going to take anything away from what I said just then, MyFitnessPal is an example, or any diet program out there that sets a number for you, it's just an estimate. And it may be suitable for you, but it may not be. And there's a chance that it's not enough food for you. Okay? And that'll be up to you and your trainer to work through that on a week-to-week basis to determine I'll say safe or a more appropriate level of food for you to eat. Okay? I've talked a lot. I'm going to pause there. Has anybody got any questions about anything I've spoken about so far? Pop it in the chat. Pop it out loud. Up to you.
That review period on these apps, obviously I've downloaded that app and I've used it for,
Yep.
I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks.
Yep.
Over that period, I've lost a couple of kilos, which I reckon is good.
Yep.
And I think it's probably about right. So over that 4-week period, I've lost 2 kilos.
Yep.
I don't follow it 100%, but it's a guide. As you say, it's a guide. It tells me what I should be eating. And every day I at least try and meet that or do better if I can. So I reckon for the 3 weeks that I've used it, it's probably about right.
Awesome, mate. Awesome. Keep doing what you're doing. If you've seen the results that you want, losing, what did you say, 2 kilos in 3 weeks?
Yeah, about 3.5 weeks, 4 weeks. Yeah.
That sounds pretty safe. That's about half a kilo a week. You're in a good place. You're in a good place for now, based on what you've told me. Okay, there's many other things I could ask, such as your energy levels. If you're feeling generally energetic throughout the day, if you're not noticing anything negative about your health, your energy levels, your performance in your training, and you're losing weights about half a kilo a week, you're in a good place. Keep doing what you're doing. Okay?
Good. Thanks.
Good stuff. Let's move on now to the main crux, problems of eating too little. Okay? Let's say that we are eating a very, very, very low energy diet. It's some cookie cutter program out there says everybody who follows this program has to eat 1,200 calories. Let's just say there's a rough example, okay? And we're eating far too little, okay? I'll start off with some physical things that can happen to our body, okay? First one is, there's many things, but I'll just touch on some. Muscle loss. If we're eating far too little for our requirements, whether that be our BMR, our baseline requirements, our physical activity levels, if we're eating too little for these things, our body can start to burn muscle, okay? And we don't want that. We want to try and maintain as much muscle as possible, okay? We want to try and promote slower weight loss to make sure that we're mainly burning fat off our bodies that doesn't have much use there, okay? We want to try and retain as much muscle as possible, which can be lost if we're eating too little, okay? If we're eating far too little, we can also start to see decreases in our basal metabolic rate, okay, our BMR. And also, something that I started to touch on before, if we're eating too little and our body's starting to get uncomfortable or you're not giving me enough, we can subconsciously move less, okay? There's something called NEAT. The fancy way or fancy name for it is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. It's a big fancy name for any spontaneous physical activity we do throughout the day. So me sitting here, shaking my leg, me walking around the house to do a few tasks, anything which isn't planned, structured exercise, where we're just incidentally moving, our body, without us really realizing it, can actually slow us down and prevent us from doing that, to expend less energy, okay? So long story short there, if we're eating far too little, we're going to expend less energy. And something I'll touch on in a sec, once we start eating normally again, or if we go into an overeating episode, we'll gain weight back pretty damn quickly because our body's energy expenditure has gone down, okay? So if we don't eat enough, we're going to burn less energy through our BMR and through less physical activity, okay? What I was just touching on previously then, we're likely to become hungrier. I said before about ghrelin. When we're in a caloric deficit and giving our body less food, our body's going to shoot more ghrelin out from our stomach to tell our brain, please feed me, please feed me, please feed me, I'm hungry, okay? If our ghrelin is much higher than it normally is because we're not giving our body enough food, we're a lot more likely to go and overeat. Okay, I'm not saying you will, I'm just saying you're more likely to go and overeat. If that happens, when our energy expenditure is a lot lower, we're going to gain weight pretty quickly, okay? And finally, if we are eating far too little for far too long and we lose a lot of weight and we start to become thin or underweight, which is a better way of saying it, there are many negative effects upon our physical health, okay? Like I said before, we're likely to lose muscle mass, our bone density can start to decrease, our immune system can start to fail, our libido will start to drop, okay? And ladies may lose their menstrual cycle. So what I'm trying to say here, if we're eating too little, we want to try and nip it in the bud early to prevent any short-term and long-term consequences, okay? I'll move on to psychological consequences of eating too little now, okay? I'm sure all of you have heard of it before, yo-yo dieting. Let's say someone starts a 1,200 calorie diet without assessing their energy needs or anything, okay? They lose a lot of weight in, let's say, 4 or 5 weeks, whatever it is. Oh, yeah, I've lost all this weight, but they start to get unbearable levels of hunger. They start to feel trashed. Their energy levels are low. And then out of nowhere, they go and start overeating dramatically, okay? If we start to realize that in terms of think of a yo-yo, undereating, overeating, gain a lot of weight back. Undereating again. It starts a big yo-yo cycle going backwards and forwards of weight loss and weight regain, okay? And we don't get anywhere with progress, not to mention the negative effects upon our body, okay? Another thing is we can start to develop a poor relationship with food psychologically, okay? We can start to demonize foods. We may start to over-rely on foods in terms of a comfort mechanism, like I spoke about before. We may start to dislike food or avoid food or even avoid social situations which promote food, like family gatherings or going out for dinner or brunch with your friends. We've got to remember that health is more than just our physical health in terms of fitness and exercise. Health also includes our mental health and our social health, making sure that we're seeing friends and family enough, okay? So if we're eating too little and too focused on trying to restrict our food as much as possible, then we may miss out on other things in our life which involve food, okay? So we never want that to happen, okay? Beautiful. Long story short, I've just covered a lot in that time frame. Eating too little can have detrimental impacts on both your physical health and on your mental and social health, okay? Yo-yo dieting is a big issue if we go between cycles of not eating enough to eating too much, okay? And in the short term, if we're eating too little, it can start to promote muscle loss, potentially bone density loss, and is likely to drive us to overconsume food, which can create mental problems as well. All right? I've got a question in the chat here. Jen's asked, she's on low calories, about 1400 for about 4 weeks with no weight loss and not particularly hungry. And asking, do I need to eat more to lose weight? Awesome, awesome question. Okay, so she's not losing much weight on the calories that she's currently eating. Does she need to eat more? There's 2 ways that I could answer this. I'm going to address both. The first one is called a diet break. Okay, so if we've been eating slightly less than what we need for a while, okay, we're losing weight, then we can plateau, all right? Because our body's found a new comfortable point, okay? I'll call it a comfortable point. Once it's here and we keep eating, in this example, 1400 calories, which is, in this person's example, that number could be different in other people, okay? Yes, eating a little bit more can do something called resensitize ourselves to the stimulus, if you like, okay? So eat a little bit more, back up to our what's called maintenance calories for a little while, okay? So our body, like I said before, starts expending a little bit more energy, feeding more food. It's going to start burning a little bit more energy, both through its BMR and through getting you to be a bit more active, okay? So then once you do introduce a diet again at lower energy, you're more likely to start losing weight again because you're being more sensitive to the lower calories again. So another way, if I got a little bit complicated then, if we've been eating slightly less calories for a little while, our body can get used to it. So if we push our food up for a short amount of time, okay, our body can start burning a bit more energy to get used to that slight intake of food. Again, okay? And then once you decrease it again, your body will be more sensitive to that and is more likely to start losing weight again. Okay? Does that answer your question, Jen? She says, that's awesome. Happy days. Hopefully it does. All right? Good. Becky's asking, how can you recognize under eating versus feeling hungry because you're eating less than before? Another awesome question. All right? Quick answer. You don't know without assessing on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. But to get in a little bit closer, nitty-gritty there, 2 things you want to focus on. Your weight loss. How quickly are you losing weight? If we're losing, let's say, as a rough number, it depends on a lot of stuff, in excess of 1 kilo a week, let's say we're losing like 1.5 to 2.5 kilos a week, your weight's starting to plummet down, and you're feeling, let's say, really hungry on a day-to-day basis, it's likely that you're not eating enough, okay? And we're losing weight too quickly, which can cause problems down the track, okay? But let's use the flip side of that coin. We're losing, again, rough example, 0.5 kilo to 1 kilo a week. Your energy levels generally feel okay during the day. You're exercising fine. Your exercise sessions are pretty good, fairly productive. You're not withdrawing from other activities like studying, seeing your friends, things that you normally enjoy. Then that baseline level of hunger while trying to lose weight with all of these other things in the picture is probably okay for the time being, okay? I'll sum that up again. If you're losing weight really quickly and you're very hungry on a day-to-day basis, you're probably not eating enough, under eating, okay? But if you're losing weight at a pretty slow and steady rate and everything else in your life is normal in terms of your energy levels, your sleep, your participation in your tasks that you normally enjoy, then that baseline level of hunger is probably just a normal consequence of a weight loss period, okay? Does that answer your question, Becky? Beautiful. Good to hear. Let's finish off now with some strategies, okay? We'll take a little bit of a different path now. Some strategies for emotional eating, which I said back at the start is normal. We don't have to feel bad about it, okay? But we don't want to let it get control of us. We want to nip it in the bud with some strategies if we can, all right? The first one, or low-hanging fruit, as I like to say, let's say you're lying down on the ground, there's fruit right there. The things that you can pick or the things that you can tick off nice and early, is your environment, okay? I'll use an example to answer this. Let's say you love Tim Tams. You go crazy over Tim Tams. You can't control yourself whenever you're stressed. You go and smash half a pack of Tim Tams. Instead of buying a whole pack of Tim Tams to put in your pantry and allowing yourself or facilitating yourself the ability to go to the pantry and grab Tim Tams whenever you're stressed, don't buy Tim Tams. Don't have them there. Don't have them there in your pantry available to access whenever you're stressed, all right? Think of another treat. Let's say your favorite chocolate bar. Buy one to put in your pantry so you have one treat that week, okay? Something you can only have once. Yum, I enjoyed it, I treated myself, but I can't keep going back to the pantry every 5 minutes when I get stressed for more Tim Tams, okay? So try and create an environment that's more facilitative of your goals, okay? The second step, which is a little bit deeper, addressing the root cause a little bit more, is to stop and think, okay? Now, a lot of you probably go, Alex, rolling your eyes, fluffy stuff here, but I really implore you, if you struggle with emotional eating, to try this, okay? Let's say you've had a crappy day at work, you're really stressed, one of your colleagues is making you angry, you've just had a fight with your brother or sister. Oh my God, I need a pizza. Oh my God, I need to go and smash a bag of chocolates, all right? No, stop, sit down with a piece of paper or a diary or your phone, whatever it may be. What am I feeling right now? Is it anger? Is it upset? Is it anxiety? Write it down. Write down what you're feeling in that moment, okay? Why am I feeling this way? What's happened? What's caused me to feel this way? Okay? Move on to then ask yourself, is there anything triggering this? Okay? Is there anything that triggers these feelings regularly? Is it your work? Is it a particular activity that you're engaging? Is it a particular person in your life, like a family member or a friend in your friendship circle? What's causing you to feel this way on a regular basis, right? And if so, ask yourself, are these things usually correlated with me going and emotional eating, okay? Even if it's just an activity that you associate eating with, whether that be your favorite TV show at night after dinner, even if you've had a full plate of food and you're full, does sitting down, watching the 7:30 TV show, does your brain associate that with eating ice cream and cookies every single night, okay? Ask yourself in the moment, am I actually hungry for this food, or am I just using it to cover up an emotion, which I should be dealing with in another way, okay? If you're actually hungry, then eat some food. Go and eat some food. Go and have a small snack, all right? Maybe question, are there times throughout the day where I'm not eating enough and I might need to eat a little bit more? If you ask yourself, am I hungry? And you go, no, I'm actually not hungry. That's when I want you to go through this process that I've just spoken about. What am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? What's caused me to feel this way? And finally, what can I do instead of eating, which is going to help me more, okay? Eating a chocolate bar when you're really stressed about Monday report at work makes you feel better for 5 minutes. The chocolate bar doesn't do the work report for you. The chocolate bar doesn't fix the fact that the work report's stressful every Monday. Think of something which can help to relieve that stress more sustainably, whether that's getting up and going for a walk every Monday night when you're stressed, whether that be doing some boxing every Monday night when you're stressed, on some pads or a boxing bag, not on your brother or sister or your partner, whether that be putting on your favorite TV show or reading your favorite book, whether that literally be writing a page journal about how you're feeling. Whatever that may be, try and solve the issue with an activity that doesn't involve eating, which will help relieve your stress more sustainably, okay? Because eating is only going to cover up that feeling for a matter of minutes. And then you turn around and go, oh, I'm still stressed. Do I go back for more food and keep eating, or do you know what I mean? So try and identify activities which help you to feel less stressed more sustainably that doesn't involve eating, okay? I've rambled a lot then. does anybody have any questions about emotional eating and how to potentially deal with it? I'll also say one more time, sorry if I sound repetitive, emotional eating is normal. All of us do it. I do it sometimes. Nothing to feel bad or guilty about, okay? It's just a matter of being a little bit proactive and practicing some self-reflection and self-awareness in the heat of the moment before you let the emotional eating get the better of you, okay? Pop it in the chat or yell it out loud if you have any questions. No. Cool, that's all right. Thank you very much for listening this evening. I hope you've learnt a little bit about why eating too little isn't good and what it can do to us negatively in the short and the long term, okay? And hopefully, hope you've learnt a little bit about the difference between hunger, physiological requirement for food, and emotional eating, and also some strategies about how you can deal with that, okay? As always, thank you for listening and for tuning in. Feel free to message me on Instagram, A-Rod Nutritional, any single time that you want to, okay? Everyone take care of yourselves, and I'll see you again next Tuesday, okay?
Thank you, Alex.
Now, take care of yourselves.
Very much.
Thanks, Alex.